We got a bit of a video in front of us here today. We're actually going to be taking a look at 5 things, although relatively small, each and every one of them. Before I get into that, just want to say, A, they are centered around 2009. B, that's something I'm kind of experimenting, playing around with, as you guys can tell. And C, actually wanted to reach out to you guys. Wonder, sort of if you wanted to make some suggestions for content you'd like to see on the channel. I keep a little document on my phone of ideas that I have had, but I've sort of been experimenting with different types of content on the channel. And you guys seem to really be appreciating a lot of it. So very happy with that, but I know every one of us is different, so of course we all enjoy watching and consuming different things. So if you have any ideas, go ahead and leave that in the comments. I'll also be making a community post that will be an Ask Me Anything as well as a suggestion post, so you can also comment there, and if you want to help with engagement, you can comment both places if you want. Speaking of engagement, hey, might as well subscribe if you want to. Now let's get right on into it. So we're going to actually start off with the most recent build that I did here. Well, I guess technically the second most recent, which is this one right here, is the Glatorian Wind Wing, which not the appropriate name for it. You'd think it'd be called Magna, but it just sounds cooler. I like the sound. And this was actually inspired by the thumbnail of the last video that I made, which I wanted to give proper credit for. It's credited in the description of that video as well, but it's actually a piece of artwork that I found online several years ago, all the way back from 2014, somewhere in there, on the TTV message board by someone named Kat. It is a wonderfully beautiful image, and it actually reminds me of something else, which I won't get into in this video, but suffice to say, this, or a bird, is shown in the background of that image. Honestly, they are just kind of filler. There's no definition to them other than the fact that they look like they're white, look like they could basically be like a seagull or something, and it's a very common image you'll see in a lot of different types of landscape type paintings, artwork in general. And so I decided to take that concept and build it into a bird, and we got this, a giant wing of a bird. The wings literally are like 200% of this thing because they're so big, but I wanted to make sure they weren't just large, that it was just a static wing, but rather was posable as well. So the wings can actually fold back pretty flush on the body here, so you get sort of like this peacock pose, right, where you can actually hold the model. It has its little head and little eyes up here in the front, and the wings fold back rather than it being a tail, of course, which I think looks really lovely. You can also fold the wings back out, as you saw in the beginning of this, and the legs can fold back as well for more of like a flight mode. It's a really simple build, and I'll even take the wings off so you can sort of see it a little better, though the white is not going to come across super well on camera. But I've got the other builds in front of me here, and we'll take a look at those here in a minute. Let me know if you guys want to see the breakdown build for this. I will be posting it on the Discord if that is something you guys are interested in, and I basically wanted to feature one of the Glatorian helmets as sort of the body, so I picked the Metis helmet, which is actually an Agori, but whatever. One of the 2009 helmets, right? So fairly simple, fairly straightforward build, but it is really neat either way, and it does have some interesting little techniques in there to build this little body. And what's nice about it too is that you could definitely replace these large wings with something smaller to get maybe like different ages of bird, right? You could see this as being like the baby, and then the longer the wings, the older it is, which I think is just a really cute and unique idea. So it is essentially just giant wing. Yeah, it's abstract, but it doesn't need to be a one-to-one representation of a bird in real life, because this is not real life, this is fictional. But there's the underside of the wings there. Hopefully that helps you when it comes to building stuff, if you like to reverse engineer things from video. But yeah, the build will be on Discord. With that said, that's actually the second bird that I've made in 3 days. So I'll show off the other bird here real quick. I've already done a video on the build for this guy, this little guy here. So you can definitely go check that one out. We'll take a look at one more Rahi in a minute, but I also want to say that I just changed up Perditus, and I really like him when he's colorful. He looks a lot better, and I'm honestly not sure why LEGO didn't just do this. First of all, this actually would have been one less new recolor for him, with the arms here being in the Keat orange. Obviously, I like the fact that we got them in black on this character because, well, black is a much more useful color. It is more neutral, right? With that said, though, we would, of course, get them later in Hero Factory, so seeing them in Keat orange here is not killing their exclusivity, if you will. Of course, the legs are entirely dark red with the exception of the now ankle guards and the sockets in the feet. Also has Keat orange fist. You can see all this stuff for yourself. And I decided to just give him one over-the-shoulder armor there, mostly because I only own one of those. Otherwise, he'd probably have two, one on each side. But I don't think it looks that bad. So I'm pretty happy with how he came out, and he just got some pearl dark gray claws to really bring in that pearl dark gray armor there. Could very easily swap that for dark red armor instead, but I like to keep keep the pearl dark gray on him. There's something very nice about it, and I didn't want to oversaturate him with any one color. Plus, I still wanted him to be similar to the vehicle so that you could maybe make up a story in your head as to why he appears in both colors. Maybe he gets rid of his yellow to blend in more in the sands or something, which I probably wouldn't make sense since I think yellow probably wouldn't stand out from sand as much as dark red would, but hey, whatever. Just make up whatever story you want. The next one we got is a little Agori here that I built earlier today called Kos, and this is a very simple one, just with a icicle spear here, and utilizing the white and medium blue color scheme with a little bit of dark gray and a little bit of the dark blue on this armor piece here. I also mentioned this armor in the parts variant form, so definitely go check that one out, but it is one of the variants of the Holly Mari armor piece, this time with a little bit more white. Not the most white I've seen on one of these, but has a really lovely mid-tone in there with the blue where the two mix. So it's very nice. He also has a little snowball shooter here, which I think is super cute. I do have the axle in white, but I'm not sure where I'm using it right now, so he's just going to use it for now. And the light variant, speaking of those, of the Takadox armor as well, which blends much nicer with his character. You might see that the head on here looks a little shiny. That's actually because I cut out a piece of a soda bottle, of all things, to put in there as a visor, just as a little something to do. I don't have any of those in blue. It's actually green on top of a blue head, but would be really nice to get something like that in like a light blue color over a white head, just to give that subtle icy blue color. So I think it looks pretty good. But yeah, obviously that's a custom piece. It's not damaging anything. It's literally just filling in a gap that's otherwise there. So it's just cut to shape. The last build here is another Rahi build, and this one is actually a Beetle because, you know, it's 2009, right? It's the desert. And don't worry, these are bootlegs here. I might have mentioned that already, but very easy to build this with the Borak arms instead. And I love the idea of just that giant horn, right? Obviously, we have horned beetles in the real world, so I figured why not play into that and even accentuate it further. I don't think that the click set really handles that very well. I think the head build on that is honestly kind of atrocious and definitely could have been done better. I don't think it needed to be done like this either, but this just looks nice. I almost think of it as like, it's an insect, right? So it's not like it has a fleshy, you know, exterior to it or anything, but I almost see it that way, where it's like this almost a flag kind of thing, rather than being like a perfectly hard, firm spike. Maybe just like the rib on it is sharp, and then this can like wave around. I don't know. It's just a really interesting idea that I thought about. And so it's just something interesting that, yeah, I like to think about this kind of stuff a little too much, probably. Anyway, so that is pretty much it. I think you could even probably stick a Generation 2 mask on that if you wanted to, right over the top of the head. But pretty happy with the build of all of these guys. Very simple little video here, but like I said, just wanted to go ahead and reach out with you. Also, I guess I'll show this very quickly just because I already have it. But the work on that custom helmet so far looks pretty good. It's still a little too high up on the head, in my opinion, and I glued this several times and happened to the last time apparently misalign it, so it's slightly misaligned, but it's whatever. But yeah, definitely a fun one. And if you don't know the story behind that piece, it was damaged. It was one that got out of a lot that was like chewed up by a dog. I don't know what else would have done that damage. So with that all out of the way, that's it for this video. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you are subscribed, and even if you're not, thanks for tuning in. You can check out my Discord, Instagram, and Patreon in the description if you want to see some perks, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Take care. Make sure to check out the suggestion post, I guess, and talk in the comments. Bye.